Coming up, thanks to the success of Cosmic Orange, new colors are coming to the iPhone 18 Pro. But they're a bit WTF. The super clever way the first touchscreen Macs will work, exciting changes in iOS 26.4 Beta 2, and even weirder keyboard setup than last week's, plus our predictions for next week's Apple's announcements. Welcome to the Cult of Mac podcast. I'm your host, Leander Caney. Joining me today, D. Griffin Jones, coming in from Ohio. Hey, Griffin.
Good evening. I didn't prepare anything. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Lewis from San Francisco. Lewis, what's going on?
Hey, hot and humid San Francisco. What is going on?
Yeah, it's foggy today. And Casey Liss, coming in from Richmond, Virginia. So welcome to the show, Casey. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It is very rainy over here, so I'm not sure if I'm channeling the UK or San Francisco. It's not foggy, it's rainy, but right. You know, I'm doing my best to include everyone.
All right, yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, we've got all the weather here, all the weather,
all the weathers. It's in the 50s in Ohio now, isn't it?
Nope. It is 32 degrees where I am,
it dropped
and
back
there's still
down.
snow on the lawn.
It was in the 50s earlier this week, right? Or late last week?
I think a week ago it was pretty warm, but no, then we got another continuous 48 hours of snow, so that was fun.
Awesome.
And then I spend all that work shoveling, and then the next day it's sunny enough to melt it all off the driveway. So what was the point?
I thought you liked shoveling, though. I thought that was one of your favorite workouts. Well, I am proud to say I've never shoveled a driveway in my life, and I hope never to either.
You're not missing much. Yeah.
No,
I think that enthusiasm was before the winter actually hit when I told you that.
I hated shoveling snow. And you're absolutely right. It's like, what if I just put it off for a day?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the funny thing about Richmond is that we don't get snow often, but when it does happen, typically what will happen is it'll warm up during the day and some of it will melt and then it'll get freezing cold at night. And so now you have like this nice sheen of ice on top of everything. Mm-hmm. It's no fun. It's not delightful.
Super treacherous.
Yep.
Well, we almost got some snow here, didn't we, in the Bay Area last week for the first time in 30 years or something.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
almost
crazy.
It never did show.
No.
But anyway, let's talk about the iPhone 18 Pro. And this is a good one. How it's going to double down on bold new colors. Lewis, what's going on there?
Yeah, well, I mean, as everybody knows, Cosmic Orange was a hit. Mm-hmm. Apparently also a giant hit in China. Like, people love it in China. So now Apple is considering a deep red color for its next lineup, according to you-know-who. iPhone 18 Pro is still 7 months away. A lot could change by then, blah, blah, blah. Rumored red shade could end up looking similar to Cosmic Orange. What?
Yeah, what?
What? It's unclear how distinct the final color options will be. Also, another part of this is all coming from Gurman in his newsletter, of course. And he's saying that Apple might not discontinue Cosmic Orange. And this whole thing gets weirder and weirder. I don't know if he's like hitting the pipe or what, but it's and then it's like, as for rumors about purple and brown iPhone 18 Pro colors, Gurman said probably just variants of the same red idea, given that the tones are fairly similar. What?
Yeah, right. Yeah, this is all completely nonsensical.
I was reading that. I was going, man, what happened here? Anyway, I mean, I was wondering if it'd be maybe they would release like a product red iPhone 17 Pro, like even next week. I mean, it could happen, right? They used to do that mid-cycle, and I don't know why they quit making those product red iPhones anyway. I mean, people loved them. They were. I always thought they looked great. I mean, yeah. I very rarely got one because it's mid-cycle, right? And you always want to get the latest, greatest thing the day it comes out. But
I think the last product red one they did was also not on the mainline iPhone. It was on the iPhone SE. The iPhone SE2 came in red, and it was cool because black and red is like the Sith colors if you're a Star Wars fan. I think, yeah, they used to do the mid-cycle colors on like the iPhone 12 as well, which came out late in the purple color, and I was like, oh. I wish I hadn't bought an iPhone months ago because I could have gotten a purple one, and it was an excellent shade of purple. But
yeah, they used to do that. It was always interesting, and it always made me a little bit jealous, right? Because there were always better colors than they had released 6 months ago. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so who knows what's actually coming? I mean, I think the good news is that Apple, they finally released a iPhone Pro in a color that was an actual color, and wow, people bought it. And so Tim Cook loves that money,
This is why this story makes no sense at all, because like in China, it was way off the charts in China, wasn't it? And the Cosmic Orange was a massive, massive hit there. And this is like a super cycle, because I think, largely because of that color. And so the lesson for Tim Cook is to go back to boring, weird colors like, deep red and brown. What's going on?
I think he might have taken the wrong lesson from it, because it's not like people were so infatuated with the color orange that, we should double down on, the warm hues like, red and purple. Like, it's just because it was a color at all.
Right.
It's not like people are so tied to orange that, we're going to keep it for the iPhone 18 and then we'll still be selling orange ones along with our other color. Like, whatever other color they make is, probably going to be better than orange.
Well, the funny thing is, like, the pro colors are always so muted. Like, I have a bluish, I forget the actual technical term for the color, but the bluish, iPhone and iPhone Pro, and I like it, but it's also vaguely purpley, and it's certainly not as loud as the orange. And I have seen so many orange, iPhone 17 Pros, just an absurd amount of them. My wife has one. One of her alma mater's colors is almost identically orange, so it makes sense that she would be into it. But I've seen so many people with the orange phone, and I am not at all surprised that it sold incredibly well, because they're so boring. Like, this is a very lovely muted bluey purple, but I mean, I would vastly prefer a much louder blue or a much louder purple if given the choice.
Yeah. I mean, this has been the same thing that people have been saying for years, isn't it? That Apple should do pop colors on the Pro lineup, not the muted ones.
Yep.
So what do you think of the orange, Casey? Do you like the orange itself?
I do. It's a little too loud for me, because even with all this whining I'm doing, I would prefer something slightly toned down from that particular orange. But I would definitely like a louder version of, the one that I have right now. And I definitely am fully on board with them going hog wild and trying something that one of you just said it a minute ago, something fun. Like the orange, whether or not one enjoys that particular orange, it's fun. And the pro colors, the pro hues that they've always used have almost always been boring. Like there was the forest green from like 3 or 4 years ago, which I really, really liked, but it was a very, very dark green. It's like, I can't recall a time that there's ever been a more vibrant color than this orange in the pro line anyway. And every year I look at the non-pro phones and think, man, do I want to give up whatever in order to get a non-pro phone with a better color? And inevitably, when it comes to cameras, I say, no, I do not want to give up, the good camera and get a regular phone. But golly, I wish I could have their colors.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this is a strange situation, isn't it? Because maybe we'll see when the iPhone 18 Pro comes out. But I wonder whether they will go bolder. They've always. Do you still like the orange shirt, Lewis, that you bought?
Yeah, I mean it is bright and bold, but I mean, I think even it could have been more bold. I'm the opposite end. I wanted it to have like, sparkle. I wanted it to look like a hot rod. Yeah. But yeah, it's all right. I mean, for me, orange is not my favorite color. I don't mind orange. I bought it. I bought it just because, hey, here's the first time they've actually made one. I've been griping about this for years. Yeah. So, here's one more pile of money that Apple gets, and I think that's the only way you can send a message to Tim Cook is just more. We sold more of that, so now let's make more of that. So the big folding iPhone that everybody's all hot and bothered about coming later this year, guess what? They're going to stay away from fun colors, according to Gurman. Stick to dull, boring, some kind of dark gray or black, or some kind of white or silver. It's kind of like the original iPhones, just boring, predictable, inoffensive. I think inoffensive.
Well, this has got to be something to do with inventory management, right? Surely, they're going to see if this thing has any traction before they'll start making it in different colors. And I'm guessing that black and white are, they're probably the best-selling colors in the for all the iPhones. So safe choice for a new product that has no proven market yet, and then the fun colors will come later.
I mean, here's my thing though. If they're only going to do like black and silver, why even have black and just make one that's like both silver and black, like the iPhone 4, that only came in one color, like pure black glass on one side and like the pure unadorned silver on the other side. Like, why even bother having two colors if they're both going to be just like light gray and dark gray,
How about a black and white checkerboard pattern? How would that be? How'd you like that, Griffin?
Well, I like that two-tone look. The two-tone look looks great, I think, on most products.
Then when you open it up, you could use it as a chessboard. You could get little magnetic chess pieces.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a pretty square device, so that would work out.
Cases for that thing are going to be weird, aren't they? They're going to have weird cases because of the fold. Isn't that going to? They're going to have to, how are they going to have a hinge on a case?
I saw somebody who had a folding phone, and the case basically worked kind of like a bumper that went around each half of it, and then down the middle, it was sort of like the spine on a hardcover book, so that when you opened it up, it like still protruded a little bit, and it was like sort of wide and flat, and then you could like still like kick out a little kickstand from the spine and have it like sitting up, like a little tablet. I don't know if Apple's going to do something like that. But that would be interesting. I'm curious to see what they'll do and what third-party accessories do.
All right. Well, let's finally thank the sponsor this week, which is thanks very much, Culture Mike, for sponsoring the Culture Mike Show. We're going to plug our newsletters once again. I wanted to read out a note I got from Chris Downing in Australia, who's a regular reader, and he said, "Thanks for making the newsletter. Thumbs up emoji. It's a great summary of the Apple-related news, and there's always one or more articles that I go to from the email. It's one of the few emails I get daily that I actually look forward to." So you've obviously got the formula dialed in pretty well, and a winking emoji. So thanks very much for that, Chris. That actually really made my day. In fact, it made my year. That was so nice. And actually, most of the feedback we get is I haven't seen much negative feedback. And every now and again we get that, stop, where people reply and they say unsubscribe. So we get surprisingly few. And most of it, the feedback I've got is very, very positive. So please sign up for the Culture Mike newsletter. It's at newsletters.culturemike.com, newsletters.culturemike.com. So thank you. Let's talk about this new interface. I thought this was super clever on the touchscreen Macs. This really made sense once you read about it. So, I was watching this video from 2010 when Steve Jobs, at one of his keynotes, flashed up a picture of, I guess it was of a MacBook. And he said, we've done loads of user testing, and it showed someone with their finger trying to touch the screen. He said, it just doesn't work. Your arm gets tired, and then it wants to fall off. It's an ergonomic nightmare, so we'll never do it. But, here they are. They're going to do something. And according to numerous leaks and rumors, the touchscreen is going to be coming in the fall 2026. And Apple's solution to having adding touch is an adaptive interface that responds differently depending on whether you're clicking a cursor or using your finger. So if you tap the screen, macOS 27 will reportedly show a context-aware menu positioned around the touch point with options that are easier to touch with a fingertip. And if the person taps the same item with a menu bar at the top of the screen, the set of controls will enlarge easily to make it more easy to select with your finger. So this thing's going to change depending whether you tap it with your finger or whether you use a mouse. But so if you use a cursor on the mouse, none of this will happen. It'll continue to look much like macOS Tahoe does now. So it'll still be a Mac, but it's just a new way to interact with it. And I thought this was super, super clever.
Yeah, I think this is Apple at its finest, right? Which is, let's take what is the status quo, and there's been touch-enabled PCs for a long time now, and let's ask, A, how can we make it better? B, how can we sprinkle our little special sauce on top, if you will? I don't know how you're sprinkling sauce, but go with me on this. And then, and on top of that, let's rethink, all of the assumptions that everyone else made. What if we don't make those same assumptions? And this is one of those classic examples of, as soon as you hear it reported or you see it in action, you go, oh, of course, that's how it always should have worked. But you don't see me coming up with this of my own volition. So this is one of the examples of what makes Apple, right? And I mean that in a complimentary way. I think this sounds really great. I can't say that I've yearned to touch the screen on my MacBook Pro, but I will say that there are definitely times that I'll go to scroll from time to time, especially if I've been using my iPad recently, and I'll think to myself, oh, that's interesting. I'm not sure why I did that, but would it hurt if it worked? Is it really going to hurt anyone if I could scroll on the screen? I don't know. I mean, obviously I'll have, my gooey fingers, if you will, all over the screen, but leaving that aside, I don't think there's any harm in that. And I think as long as Apple holds on to what makes macOS great and doesn't completely, sell its soul in order to make macOS touch first, I think this sounds like it really could be the best of both worlds.
Yeah, because have you ever used, Griffin, have you ever used a touch screen PC?
At my old job, I ran into, it was mostly PC based, unfortunately. So I had a number of PCs, and I even had like we even bought as like a company computer for somebody, the Surface laptop that can detach the screen as a tablet. And it was interesting. Interestingly, the person who had that computer didn't know that happened. And so I asked, "Oh, have you ever detached the screen?" And they're like, "What?" And I like sort of looked at the keyboard for a second. And I pushed the button. And I pulled it off, and like their mind was blown.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I think maybe says more about Microsoft's product design than about the technical capabilities of that person. That it wasn't even obvious that was a thing they could do. Yeah, and like I also remember installing Windows 8 on a PC that I had when that was new. And, you know, as Ed points out in this article, like Windows 8 tried to redesign the entire operating system around touch when there were virtually no touch PCs at the time. The category hadn't really taken off yet. And it sort of ruined both worlds. And it also didn't help that they just had filled it with tons of bizarre decisions like, yeah, let's have everything scroll horizontally in tiny little columns of text as part of Metro design. Like, what? Why would you do that? And, you know, they tried to go all in on the ribbon. Like, the ribbon was their idea of let's redesign menu bars as a touch first thing that, you know, you can just quickly browse through visually. But then they didn't really make it a standard user interface element outside of Microsoft Office, and they didn't put it in the file explorer until like kind of recently, like a few years ago in Windows 11. So like, this is why we say, yeah, Apple doesn't do things first, but they do things better because they actually, you know, designed the whole widget from the beginning, and they can, you know, accommodate it from all parts of the, you know, operating system. They also have much greater control over their own, you know, APIs, like, you know, Windows. 90% of all Windows applications are still based on like the Win32 API from 30 years ago with Windows NT. So, you know, Apple exerts much more control over these things. And I think that they could actually come up with a competent product. And, you know, the Steve Jobs quote that everybody revisits, he says, oh, you know, after 10 minutes, your arm feels like it wants to fall off. But, you know, that's kind of coming at it from the naive perspective of you don't have to touch the screen. You can still use it as a MacBook and use the trackpad, but the screen is just there if you're showing something to somebody and they just want to scroll really quick instead of reaching over to your trackpad.
Yeah, I wonder what kind of interactions they're anticipating people are going to be using it for, because it is a bit of a, you know, kind of fish nor fowl situation, really. But I think, like Casey was saying, I think everyone instinctively these days goes to touch the screen. There are I've got an old bike computer that doesn't have a touch screen, and every single time I try to use it, I try to touch the screen, and then I remember, oh no, it's the buttons, and I hate the thing because of that. But you know, I beyond scrolling, I don't know. You know, I'm having trouble imagining, you know, sort of workflows, or I guess, you know, maybe for sort of not necessarily for work or for getting things done, but for media consumption. Maybe that was when you want to be touching the screen.
If you think about it, like just browsing through photos, like in the Photos app, I could see how it would be more intuitive to just flick through things by touching the screen. I mean, obviously that's possible with the trackpad. It's not that this is something that you can't do today, but I can totally see how it would feel more intuitive because this is something that you're kind of sort of touching, or you kind of, your inclination is to touch, if you will. And so to just like whiz through it on the display, I could see something like that. And granted, I'm ultimately talking about scrolling again, but I can see that being, you know, a reasonable use case. And similarly, like editing photos, you know, pinching to zoom and or pinching to, you know, collapse or whatever, you know what I'm saying? That again, something you can do on a trackpad today. This is not reinvented, or I guess it is kind of reinventing the wheel, but this is something that's possible today, but perhaps could be a lot more intuitive when done via direct touch rather than, you know, having that one layer of indirection. Now, granted, this is a layer of indirection that old farts, like most of us anyway, have been used to for 30 years. But, you know, particularly for those who start out touch first, I think that this could be actually a really good way to make moving to a Mac even more intuitive and even more easy.
Especially because like people just assume every screen is a touch screen now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, kids will touch a TV. And to myself, I'm thinking, what do you think is going to happen when you touch the TV?
Right.
Like, but they'll do it anyways. It won't stop them.
Matt Birchler, he's an iOS developer, right? And he has a blog, and he had a really interesting blog post recently where he was speculating that maybe that Apple should drop iPad OS on the iPad Pro and instead put on Mac OS. And he was saying that way, if you split it up, ordinary people who have an iPad for just light reading and media consumption, they would still have the sort of they would run iOS and it would be touch first. Whereas if the pro users and want to use their iPad for something for work purposes, something like macOS would be more suitable. And of course, like, this made total sense to me. I thought, yeah, he's this is a really interesting idea. And maybe like this touchscreen Mac OS that Apple is making for the MacBooks, maybe that would run well on an iPad Pro.
It probably would. I mean, you can virtualize Mac OS on an iPad using third part, like open source apps that you build and run yourself, that aren't allowed on the App Store. And it kind of works, but people keep saying that, and Apple keeps not doing it. And so I think the record is clear here. Apple doesn't want it. Apple wants to keep them separate.
Well, except they're not, no, are they? You see, like, this upcoming Mac OS is going to be one of those weird, it's going to be a hybrid OS.
Yeah, I don't know. My bet is that I think in 10 years from now, there will still be Mac OS and there will still be iPad OS. Mac OS will still run on Macs. iPad OS will still run on iPads.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Anyway, I thought it was really interesting, very, 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 very clever. It sounds like a very clever solution, because we'll see what it looks like in real life. A couple more things to talk about these Macs. They will have the dynamic island, apparently, at the center of the top of the display. And it's supposed to be work like the dynamic island on the current iPhone lineup, offering notifications and other status updates. That sounds really cool. Like, people love the dynamic island. I mean, this is Apple turning lemon into lemonade, isn't it? And now all the Android phones copy it, even the ones that don't have Face ID sensors. So they have these faux dynamic islands. It's been a huge hit.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, absolutely. And I think to the point that if they go to like a hole punch camera or whatever, I would expect and hope that they stick with the dynamic island going forward, because I think having kind of like what do they call it? A tray in Windows, kind of like, the upper right-hand corner of the menu bar. What is the menu items on the Mac? Having like a little bit of status available to you, I think is really, really nice and arguably very important. Like being able to look up and see that your Lyft or Uber is 3 minutes away, or, DoorDash is 10 minutes away, or whatever the case may be. Or a great example, your timer has 3 minutes left, what the score is of a sports game that you care about. All of these are incredibly useful, and I don't think necessarily need much more real estate than a little strip across the top of your screen. Yeah. And so I really like it. And I'm not overwhelmed by when they appear in the Mac menu bar as of, I think, the most recent version of Mac OS. It'll slurp up, say, carrot weather. It's raining here today. And so it'll slurp up the carrot weather live activity and put it in my menu bar on my Mac. And I like that. I wouldn't say I love it, but I like it.
Would you love it more if it was in the center instead of aligned to the right with the rest of your menu bar items?
Potentially. I mean, I know you're snarking, but yeah, actually kind of, because at least it's a little more consistent that way. And plus, like, the two edges of my screen are spoken for. I've got, all my menu on the upper left and my menu items on the upper right, and I try to curate those down as much as I can, which is getting ever harder these days. But I think there is something to be said for putting it in the center, leaving aside that a lot of the apps I spend most of my day in, for example, Xcode, has about 80 billion menus that it spews across the top of the screen. So then I'm not sure how that would look. But again, this is Apple's job. This is what Apple's good at. So I'm sure they'll come up with a reasonable solution.
Would you buy it just for the dynamic island, Griffin or Lewis?
Buy a laptop specifically because it has a no, I don't think that would be the factor that would make me buy it. I think the idea of it being touchscreen is kind of cool. And Jobs was talking about it being bad ergonomically to have a touchscreen keyboard. I think it's the opposite, because it gets your hand off of your keyboard, and you let go of the death grip on your mouse or trackpad or whatever. You don't have to use it for everything. You just use it here and there, and you move your arm in a natural way. So, I mean, I think that sounds really cool. And dynamic island, that'd be awesome to have too. I love it on the phone. And, like, was there a rumor like, oh, they're going to get rid of the dynamic island from the phone? Like they're going to upgrade to like, what? That would be a downgrade. So, yeah, I don't know.
These days.
Yeah, once they no longer have a cutout out there, they could still keep it for, having, still having like status things or background tasks up there. Even if they don't need to be, I just think they won't be pure black anymore. They might tweak the user interface to make it less of a cutout.
It really is a great feature though. Like, the United Airlines app makes great use of it. It's just when somebody really takes advantage of that, it's super cool. You look up, you see some piece of information that's relevant. You don't have to open an app. It's just there. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new app that came out. It's actually for the Notch MacBooks, but it's a teleprompter that appears right
Oh, yeah, I saw
that's
that.
cool.
below the camera. Very clever.
Although the like demo that I saw on, like 3 seconds of or whatever on X, it's like it was such tiny type and it was moving so fast. I'm like, who is this for? It's certainly not for me, blind old bastards like me.
Hopefully you can slow it down. All right, well, let's talk about the new iOS beta. So iOS 26.4 beta's out. Currently we're testing, and like, look at, according to our notes, it looks like most of the changes are for Android users.
iOS 26.4 Beta 1 had end-to-end encrypted RCS conversations between two iPhones, which is, I mean, when are two iPhones going to be talking over RCS? Like maybe someone decided
by accident.
Yeah, doesn't know how to set up iMessage. But Beta 2 now enables it across platforms. This means RCS messages can be sent between iPhone and Android users and be protected with end-to-end encryption. So now you get like a tiny little lock icon at the top of the chat. Seems like a good way to do it. For now, it only works between iOS 26.4 Beta 2 and the latest version of Google Messages on Android across select carriers. So, that's Android fragmentation at play right there. You might have a bunch of Android friends, but they might not have Google phones. They might not have the latest version of Google Messages, but it's on the way. Do any of you have a lot of RCS conversations?
Yep. I sure do. So my in-laws, basically the entire family is on Android phones. My wife and I are the only iPhone people. And I will say, I don't disagree with anything you said, Griffin, about, fragmentation and all that, but it was very cool when iOS 26, I think it was, came out, that suddenly these group chats with, say, my brother-in-law and his wife, they would immediately went to RCS, and we got some of the affordances that, we didn't previously have in a just standard, bog standard green bubble chat. And I've really enjoyed that. I still think, iMessage is superior for a bunch of different reasons that I'm sure, everyone can think about. We don't necessarily need to enumerate, mm-hmm. but having at least some modicum of similar ability with my Android friends / family / enemies, I don't know, having at least a little bit there is convenient and makes my life a lot easier and a lot better. And certainly having encrypted chats is, I think, in everyone's best interest. So I'm looking forward to this for sure.
I noticed I was in a group chat the other day, and I actually couldn't tell whether it was iMessage or RCS because, all the messages were just sending instantly. We could rename the name of the group. We could, add a group photo.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that iOS 26.4 will still let you set a background image for a group chat, even though that isn't an RCS feature. And so like my friend set a background image for the group chat, and I was like, oh, do you see that? No, I don't, because it isn't actually sharing it with everybody. It's bizarre. It feels like a feature flag that they accidentally left on. A few liquid glass changes. Context menus on the home screen are a little more transparent than before, so hooray. There's a new accessibility setting called Reduce Highlighting Effects that reduces the sort of bright shine on buttons and other liquid glass elements. But this one is a little concerning to me. The search bar in the Games app is no longer integrated into the tab bar, as is the case with other iOS 26 UI designed apps. There's still like the separate search tab, but then the search bar is at the top of the screen where it used to be, in iOS 18 and before. So could it be that they're walking back that sort of integrated search bar design? I think I also noticed it on another app. Maybe it was the App Store, I think. And 26.4 has a separate search bar on the top now, no longer integrated with the bottom navigation, which is annoying because, the whole point was, let's move all the search bars to the bottom where your thumb is.
Yep.
And
right, and I think it works really well. That seems to be like an intuitive place for it. Why would they blow it up?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can understand the argument of you tap on the search tab and then all of the other tabs for the navigation disappear and you don't know how to get back out of the search tab. That I can see that being a little confusing, but they could have the search bar as like a floating element above the tab bar and still at the bottom of the screen as the best of both worlds. But could be that they're walking that back, and I would be sad if that's the case.
My money, based on no insider information whatsoever, my money is this is an oops of some sort that I mean, it is certainly possible. And by no means are you unequivocally incorrect. It is certainly possible. You are dead right that they're walking it back. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of what they were telling developers about iOS 26 and Liquid Glass is, we've have this new tab affordance. We have this new search affordance. As you said, we're moving it down so it's physically easier to get to. I'd be very, very surprised if they walked it back, especially far enough to bring the search bar back to the top of the screen. I could understand if maybe they reintegrate that search like floating action button into the tab bar. That wouldn't surprise me so much, but bringing search back to the top of the screen, I would be very, very surprised.
One more change that could be disastrous for people who are not fans of iOS 26. If you're enrolled in a developer beta in Settings General Software Update beta updates, if you're on a beta track but don't install a beta for 4 months, Apple automatically removes you from the program, putting you back on public releases. And this might affect people who are switching to the iOS 18 developer beta to avoid getting the automatic update to iOS 26. It might also be that this change only affects iOS 26.4 onwards. I don't know that for a fact, but I don't know if this is a change that they can retroactively apply to iOS 18 or not, but it could be an end to that trick for those of you who want to stay on 18. So I guess watch out.
Do you know anyone except for Charlie Sorrell who's doing that?
I do it myself because I have an old iPhone that I want to keep on iOS 18 for historical reasons to just, have that in my repertoire. But I guess I'll check in. I will definitely find out the answer to this question in a few months, apparently.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that's very dastardly. Tim Cook. So underhand. So Casey, let's talk about Casey's Callsheet app. So Casey, you're going to give us a demo of your app.
Sure.
Callsheet.
I certainly can. And so what is Callsheet? So Callsheet, the kind of elevator pitch of Callsheet is, what if there was the IMDb app, but it was written by someone who cared? And so I don't know if you've used the IMDb app recently, but like their database is incredible. It really is. But the app is really rough. Their autoplay videos, it's asking you to log in every 3.5 seconds. It's just frustrating. And so a couple of years ago now, I thought to myself, I wonder if I could do this and do it better. And so it turns out that there's a kind of Wikipedia style way in which or a Wikipedia style website where you can contribute information about cast and crew for movies and TV shows. It's called the Movie Database. I believe it's the moviedb.org. And it's pretty darn good. It's not as good as IMDb, but it's pretty darn close. And so the Movie Database is the back end for Callsheet, and Callsheet is kind of sort of my cut on, here's how you can figure out who's in something. And you're looking at this is my, my phone which has a bunch of test data on it. So this is a very curious list of pinned items, but don't hold it against me. But the kind of idea behind it is, not only can you just look at, TV shows and whatnot in movies and so on. Like one of my favorite movies of all time is Hunt for October, for example, but where I think Callsheet kind of shines is when you start drilling into TV shows. So as an example, when I was writing Callsheet, I was really into the TV show Watchmen, and this came out in late 2019. I didn't get around to watching it until a couple years later. But when I was looking at the credits on IMDb, some of these characters have dual roles, right? The Watchmen is about superheroes, and obviously some of these people have double roles as both the civilian and the superhero. And I'm not going to spoil which one it was, but one of the people you see on the screen here, when I looked at their credits on IMDb, it said, Joe Smith / Superman or whatever. And I got spoiled on the secret identity for one of the characters. And I swore that was never going to happen to me again. Okay. So one of the great things about Callsheet that I really enjoy is that you can choose to hide spoilers. And so I'm going to leave them hidden for right now, although I think that the Movie Database does not spoil it anyway. But for the sake of conversation, you can see here in the preview that Johnny Appleseed has some sort of role in this fake made up show that I invented, but you can't see it. And if I were to turn that off, you can see, he's a botanist, and so on and so forth. Similarly, what if, well, it was the best I could do, right? I was trying to play into the Apple angle. So it's made sense because, you used to use Johnny Appleseed for all their stuff. But similarly, what if somebody's written off a show? Well, I don't want to know that they're only on 2 episodes, so maybe I'll hide that spoiler as well. And similarly, what if you're very particular about even something as simple as an episode title or a thumbnail or the summary of the episode? And so you can choose to hide all of these things, and they're per show. So there is a system level thing where you can default it to always hide, this, that, or the other. But generally speaking, it's per show. So if I were to go into, say, 30 Rock, if I were to come back here, you'll notice that none of these things are hidden because I didn't choose that as a default. And so that was kind of the one of my favorite features about Callsheet, is being able to not spoil yourself on TV shows. Another nice thing is you can see here at the time of release, how old was this actor? And granted, you can argue that this isn't exactly right because sometimes things get released later and so on and so forth, but it's a good thumb in the wind as to how old these people are. And I don't know about you guys, but when I'm watching a TV show, I'm frequently, asking, well, how old is this person anyway? And this is a small computer. I can compute that. And so that's what Callsheet does, is it shows right there, Liz Lemon or Tina Fey was somewhere between 36 and 42, and she's currently 55.
That's an exclusive feature to Callsheet, because I've never seen that before in anything else.
Additionally, if somebody passes away, which thankfully don't see an example of here, but if somebody passes away, it'll say that, they passed at such and such year at such and such age. And so it's stuff like that I think lets Callsheet stand out a bit. And then additionally, if you're like me and you really want to see trivia, or one of many other different things, not all of this, but a lot of this will link out to actually that specific page in IMDb. So for example, the movie database doesn't really do anything about trivia, but IMDb does. So I can tap the trivia button and you can see an ad at the top of the screen, and you can see, all this trivia, and it's functional, but it's not my favorite, but at least it works. And I can see that trivia. And additionally, I can hop right over to Wikipedia and it will go directly to that, page that's appropriate for that particular show. And then if I drill into a particular episode and I want to watch a particular episode and I see, it's a 22-minute runtime. Well, if I start it right now, it'll end at 1:48 p.m., and so these popovers also give you little hints as well. Well, when was this released? 13 years ago. And so I like to think that there's lots of stuff that you can explore in here. You can pin items, obviously. You can have multiple lists of pins. Again, this is test data, so it's not very exciting at the moment, but you get the idea. You have your watch history here. You can configure on this screen, which I call the Discover screen, what's here and what isn't. So if you don't care about new movies, or if you don't care about new episodes, you can pull that off the Discover screen. There's a whole bunch of settings in here that you can deep dive into. I have a whole bunch of different icons, for example, that you can choose, some of which done by my friend Jelly, some by my friend Steve, and there's all sorts of stuff you can dive into. I should have actually, it didn't even occur to me until just now, but I should have had something playing on Plex or channels, in which case above pinned items, you'll see like now playing, and it'll show what's actively playing on a nearby channels or Plex app. And that works pretty well. It works really well with channels, works okay with Plex. Plex uses some really old tech to do that. But yeah, that's kind of the nickel tour of Callsheet. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. If you're set, I'm set. But basically imagine if IMDb was done by someone who loves you instead of someone who hates you, and that's what Callsheet is.
Well, IMDb started out, didn't it, as a community-driven database, and then it got bored and ruined.
Yep, exactly right. Exactly right. So Callsheet, it is 20 searches for free. I didn't really demonstrate searching, but, I did do Watchmen earlier. You can do 20 searches for free. And then after that, it's, I believe my pricing is $1 a month or $10 a year. You can optionally kind of tithe me more than that if you so desire. You get no perks for giving me more money, but if you choose to, you can. It's kind of like a tip jar sort of situation, but basically it's $10 a year. And I like to think of that as really darn affordable, given that I'm now paying $3 for a Diet Coke at a fast food spot. So that's Callsheet. I obviously am extraordinarily biased, but I really like it, and I think it's pretty good. And I'd love it if your listeners and viewers checked it out.
I saw that in one of the menus, where to watch. That looks really useful.
Oh yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's powered by Just Watch. So this will basically go to Just Watch and ask, hey, where can you watch this, either via subscription or if you buy it. If there were free options available for this particular title, it would show you free options as well. It's all based obviously on that particular title. I don't know if Hunt for October, given that it's a little bit older, if it would have more interesting options. So there's buy, rent, subscription, it's so on. You can choose which country. I don't know if maybe you had an affiliation or or an affinity for a different country, but then perhaps you could see, there's different options there. Additionally, if you're a Letterboxd person, if you're a Letterboxd person, it'll link over to Letterboxd if that's your sort of thing. I'm not personally on Letterboxd, but you get the idea. And you can also configure, instead of trivia to the left of the more button, you can configure a different one of these options. If you're, say, really into the technical details because you're a photographer or something like that, you can choose your quick action button is what I call it. It's available on iOS, on iPadOS, on the Mac as an iPad app. It's also on Vision Pro. I'm one of the 3 Vision Pro apps that are native on the platform. So you can check it out there as well if you're interested. But like I said, I think it's pretty decent, and I'd love it if your listeners, viewers, readers, etc. checked it out.
The where to watch button is excellent. That's what I use all the time because I can never remember the name of the service, Just Watch, because it's like vague enough that I can't remember what it's called. Like I know there's a website, but I can also just type it into Callsheet. The app is super fast, especially the search thing. You just type it in and you get live results as you're typing them in letter by letter. You can, often it's only like a few letters, then I can find the thing immediately, and then just see where to watch immediately. It's super fast.
Yep. We were just watching Scrubs before we recorded because that came back, and that was a personal favorite show of Aaron and mine, my wife and I. I really think it's really fast. It's done with care. It's not perfect, of course, but it's done with care. And certainly if you're listening to this and you have a suggestion, there's a mechanism within settings where you can give me feedback. And I read all of those emails. It's just me around here, so I read them all, and I take it into consideration, and I love to do what I can to help my users have the best experience that they possibly can.
Yeah, wow, it's a super nice app, Casey. Very, very deep as well, like tons and tons of functionality.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a couple of years now that I've been working on it, and so there's a lot there. I have plans for so much more. I'm not going to start into the AI conversation right now, but I've been dabbling with Claude Code and trying to figure out where is that appropriate for me to use that in the app. And so far, I haven't used it very much, but I'm starting to get my hands around where does it make sense and where does it not. And I have a lot of stuff on the to-do list and not enough time to do it, unfortunately.
One of the things I love to do after I read something is watch something is to read the reviews or read people's takes and stuff like that. Do you have anything like that for that?
Not directly. One of the things on the to-do list is to integrate with Letterboxd more thoroughly. Right now I'm linking out to it where you can see reviews, but no, I'd like to in the future interact with the Letterboxd API and also potentially let you, if you're a Letterboxd user, rate, include your particular rating for that particular title. Definitely on the to-do list. The good and the bad thing about being a single person company is that the things that I'm super interested in happen really fast, and the things that I'm less interested in happen, but just not with the same speed. And for me, like it's actually very funny that I had a very wide beta test a couple of years ago, and I personally don't care for numerical ratings. I feel like that's very, very frequently it doesn't match my personal opinion of a movie or a TV show. And I got so many beta testers fussing at me because I didn't include ratings in the app. And I've stopped sharing my screen, but suffice to say that ratings are there now because so many people were like, what are you doing? Where's the rating? And so, stuff like that, I really try to make sure I'm listening to the feedback from my users. And if there's something that's popular, then clearly I need to make a change. And I can't think of another example off the top of my head where that's happened, but it's happened many times where it's something that maybe left to my own devices I wouldn't bother with, but enough people have said, no, let's fix this, that I've gone and made it happen. So
yeah, it sounds like an awesome way to be, to be working on something, getting that feedback from your user base and responding to it and building things for them.
I've been very lucky. It's been very fun, and I'm glad. I've had a few other apps in the App Store that are mostly unremarkable, and I'm glad to have one that I think has some legs on it and that I can play with for a long time. That there's a lot more to do. I think it's full featured right now for sure, but there's so many more things that I can come up with. So many more things. I mean, I track my to-do list in GitHub, and I have I don't even have like 50 or 70 or 80 GitHub tickets open with things that I want to do. Some of those are bugs, to be fair, but a lot of them, most of them are things I want to do and things that I'd like to add to the app over time. So I got a very exciting 2026 ahead of me. It's just a matter of just bearing down and getting it done.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, thanks very much for that, Casey. That was
Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I'm going to download that. I'm a movie nut. In fact, I just bought a projector.
Nice.
On Amazon, and I'm really excited to set up. There's unfortunately not one single place in my house where I can project.
If you'll permit me a very brief story that you might appreciate more than most, when Top Gear was airing, like, when it was still in season, if you will, this was in the late aughts, I guess, I was obsessed with it. And I know that particularly Jeremy Clarkson is very divisive, but I always enjoyed the three hosts. And so what we would do is in the summertime, when a new series would start, a new season would start, we have a very, very crummy projector. But what we would do is we would go to the back of the house and drape a king size sheet off the back of the house and have a bunch of our friends over, have some drinks. And I would project the debut of the new episode of Top Gear for that series. And we haven't done that obviously in like 15 years, but it was a very, very fun and like a seminal part of the summer for me, being able to do that every year. And so having a projector handy, you'd be surprised. Even if you can't really use it in the house, you will find times that you can use it. And you can even get one of those inflatable screens, you know what I'm saying, where they like blow up if you have some green space.
Are they any good?
Go to a park or something. I haven't used one of them, but I'm sure they're not bad. And you can get like we go to American football games, college football games, and we have a very intense tailgate. And just recently, I got one of those like portable power station things, one of the ones that's like 15, 20 pounds. And so you could take that with your projector, and granted it's a little heavy, but you could set all this up in a park somewhere if you wanted to, and just have your own little movie night in the park, because why not? Because I can.
All right. Well, I'm definitely excited about it. Love the movies. Love going to the, but don't go as much as I used to. I used to go to like the movies three times a week, something like that. But So, and of course, it makes a huge difference. I saw Blade Runner actually. The 80s version. For the first time since the 80s. And I know that film backwards. It's one of my favorites. And the tears were streaming down my face from the scene where she plays the piano, the android. And it's so much different on a big screen. The impact, like just seeing such a beautiful woman and the music, it really hit different. Like I haven't been, I was so much more moved by that when I saw it on a big screen. So this is why I wanted to get into it. And Kubrick as well, like 2001. I used to think that was so boring. And then I went to see it at the cinema, and I was absolutely riveted for the entire take, and had never seen, and it was a completely different experience. Like a wonderful movie, not boring at all, not slow. Completely different when you sit on a big screen.
Yep.
And when you're not staring at your phone,
right?
Taking a break every 4 minutes.
Right. True enough. Yeah, exactly. Very, very true. Let's talk about this setup. So this is weirder and weirder as you look at it more and more. And this one's really wacky. So an important note here is that podcast listeners, if you're listening, you can check the chapter artwork to see the picture, the photo that we're going to be talking about. So please check that out. What did you think of this, Lewis, when you saw it?
It took me a little bit of time to figure out what was going on.
Right. Me too.
This is part of our, I think the headline should be 16 coolest and weirdest keyboards and Mac setups, because we added an extra one.
The story behind that is that we published this article, and then I was browsing through it to add it to the show notes to figure out the most weird one, and then I realized, I have a weird and unusual keyboard. I should, message Dave and like get mine added. So the 15 is now 16. You can scroll through the whole list to see my keyboard somewhere on there. But the one we're looking at today is unusual to say the least. Not just because of the keyboard.
One better. That's great. So this thing has got a 16-inch MacBook Pro on a stand, kind of sitting open and up, and a 14-inch Lenovo ThinkVision portable monitor on top of the keyboard and trackpad. So you've got these two stacked monitors with a quote, thin piece of foam to keep the monitor from pressing the MacBook Pro spacebar. And then the thing that got it in this roundup is this crazy keyboard, 15x5 straight grid of keys, ortholinear keyboard. This is the second one of these in 2 weeks now. I don't think I had ever even heard of an ortholinear keyboard. Now the place is lousy with them. I still don't understand exactly what they're for, or how they're in any way better than the keyboard that everybody's been using forever. I mean, there's always been strange
Is it anything more than aesthetics? I assumed, I agree with you that I have no idea what the purpose is here, but I assumed it was just having like perfectly rectangular aesthetics. Is it more than that?
The one we covered last week had like two halves. So, you could see, oh, it's ergonomic because you can position each half of the keyboard anywhere you want. But this is just like, to be clear, one continuous keyboard. It's only one piece, except the letters are in straight lines, and also between the letters, there's like a group of like punctuation keys and the arrow keys, and the space bar is also really tiny and off to the right.
But also separated.
Yeah.
Easy to hit with your thumb.
Mm-hmm. But only your right thumb.
Whole thing is
only
bizarre.
your right thumb, yeah.
Right.
Maybe this is for people who are just using dictation only, or they're not touch typists in the first place. So they, hunting and pecking. Maybe it's easier. I don't know. I read something that said like, oh, it's just straighter, so it's less travel. I was like, what? Really? Okay. To me, it looks like an ergonomic nightmare. I would never even try a keyboard like this. Terrified of it. Let's see. What else we got here? We got some kind of crazy mouse. I don't even know what kind of mouse that is. Jeez, I can't see nothing. Can't see nothing.
It's just a Logitech mouse. I don't think that's unusual.
Is that a Logitech?
Yeah, it says Logitech on it.
Well, it's so small on my screen, I can't see it. And people on the podcast can't see it either because it's audio. And let's see, we've got a phone floating in the air somehow. Don't know how.
What struck me is that there's overall it's a pretty bright white clean room. There's nice like cork pads under the keyboard and mouse. The one thing that's unusual though is that the cable that's plugging in the iPhone, I think it's supposed to be white, but it's so dirty that it's a darker brown than the cork board it's on. So,
do you think it's dirty, or is it maybe just a?
Why would you have
Why
would you have just a brown cable though?
I don't know. It could happen.
Well, you can see as it snakes around the back of the machine, it does turn into a different color. It looks white.
It just might be the lighting.
Maybe.
Well, the stack monitors, I think that's a really good idea. Stacking them up vertically like that, rather than having them side by side. It's much more right in front of you. You don't have to move your head anywhere to check it out. And you don't see that too often, do you? It seems like the kind of thing Wall Street traders do.
Well, the MacBook is elevated because it's on a stand, but then you have to look like low to look at the other screen because it's, the stand doesn't elevate the MacBook that high. It's not like a full desktop, setup where, you're, as they say ergonomically, like your eye is level with the top of the monitor in front of you. It's level with one of the monitors, but then the other one is like sort of back down below around the keyboard.
Maybe it's because it's he's got to come up with some kind of stand, or they've got to come up with some kind of stand to put the this portable monitor on. But Ed has been one of our writers, Ed Hardy. He's been extolling the virtues of portable monitors and says they're absolutely game changers if you have a. Oh, there you go. You got one.
So I'm now holding up my portable monitor, which is unfortunately not being made anymore. This is an Arzopa, I believe, Arzopa. I'm sorry, ARZOPA. It's a like 13-inch or thereabouts portable monitor. It's USB-C powered. It has the flimsiest case in the world on it. For those who are not viewing, it is like paper thin, but it serves as like a makeshift stand. This is, I think, 2K and 13 inches, but it's enough that it passes muster as Retina-ish. Like, I don't think, strictly speaking, it has quite the PPI that Retina would demand, but it's a lot better than your average monitor. I love this thing. If I'm not going to be one of those dorks that straps the Vision Pro to his face to, get Mac Virtual Display, then this is the next best thing. And I occasionally will go to like a cafe or a coffee shop, or whatever, to do some work just to get a change of scenery. And having a second screen is truly a game changer. And this, when it was new, again, I don't believe it's available anymore. This was like $150, which is not a small amount of money, but given that it's an entire monitor, it's really not bad. And so I hard agree on this.
$60 now, I think, for the cheapest ones. And I think they're perfectly decent. Espresso does some really nice ones. A company out of Australia.
Yeah.
So do you plug it into your MacBook?
Yeah, that's right. I have a 13-inch MacBook Pro, single cable that carries both power and data, and it works incredibly well. I mean, it's not as bright, it's not as much real estate, and because I run it in Retina, everything is physically kind of large. I could, if I had better eyes, then I could run it in its native resolution, and everything would be microscopic. But at least I would see, I would have more stuff on screen. But honestly, as an accessory monitor while I'm traveling, it's it's perfect. It's I would love something bigger, but then it would be much heavier, and there's all those trade-offs and so on and so forth. It would use more power. But no, this particular one, and Arzopa makes a bunch of them. What did you say a second ago, Leander? What was the name of the espresso, something like that?
Espresso, I think. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Those I've heard are very good. I pegged this as a ThinkPad associated thing because I grew up on ThinkPads. My dad worked for IBM, and so it's even in microscopic version of the image, I was like, oh, that's got to be an IBM. Well, I guess not IBM anymore, but you know what I mean. So I'm sure the Lenovo screens are also good. I'm not trying to say that Arzopa, as weird as that is the be all end all, but I really do think that if you go somewhere that you have the physical space to set a monitor next to your MacBook Pro, I can't recommend it enough. It's really,
have you plugged your
really
iPhone or your iPad into it too?
I did plug my iPhone in once just to see that it would work, and it was basically useless other than mirroring, but it was cool that it did. So that was that I had that going for me. Occasionally I plugged in like the Nintendo Switch, like if my kids if we're traveling and for what I've only done it once or twice, or if we're like at a friend's house and they're trying to like play Mario Kart against the friend, but via the network rather than all being on the same screen. We've done that a couple of times. There is a speaker on this thing, and it is just as awful as you would expect it to be, but I mean, again, in a pinch, it serves its purpose. And given that it's not extremely expensive, if you're a mobile worker, I can't recommend it enough.
Okay, Griffin, we have a super fun game coming up now because it's going to be a big week next week. Even Tim Cook this morning teased next week's announcement, didn't he? Did you guys see that? He put out a tweet saying that, what did it say? Anyway, something about
a big week. Yeah.
So he's everyone's. So we're gonna do some predictions about what we think is going to be shown next week. It's still a mystery, but there are some clues. Griffin, so what are we going to do? We're going to open up.
And there are still some unknowns. So for the first time in 2026, and for the first time on our new podcast, we're going to lay down our predictions for Apple's not an event. Leander wants to try a format with only 10 questions instead of 20. So to make up for it, I've made them all that just a little bit more devilish.
Great.
So we've agreed on a list of predictions for the event. My co-hosts have had the opportunity to look at the list. I'm not sure how familiar they are, but
agreed. I think is a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
Right.
For each prediction, we will vote yes or no, whether we think it will happen. Votes will be placed in order of who won the previous game. So I will go first, Leander second, Lewis third, and Casey, as our guest, will go last. And he has the privilege of seeing how the rest of us vote before he places his vote. So that's interesting. 1 point will be awarded for each correct guess. Any disputes in judgment must be ruled on by Ed Hardy, a responsibility he has not been informed of, much less agreed to. Listeners can submit their own votes using a Google form that's in the show notes, or you can also type in dgriffinjones.com/survey, and that'll take you right to it. But, also just tap the link in the show notes if you don't want to type that in or you don't know how to spell my name. The highest score submitted before the first announcement will be honored in the next episode. You have the opportunity to plug something in case you win. So that's always fun. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the iPhone and iPad section. Again, I'll be going first, Leander second, then Lewis, then Casey. iPhone 17e with MagSafe, Dynamic Island, and the same 2 colors. I am going to say, yeah, that sounds about right. How about everybody else?
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, yeah, that sounds about right too.
Okay. Bold choice, Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it lines up with everything we've heard. I just thought it was going to be here already.
Mm-hmm. And Casey?
Yeah, I think as the foil of the episode, I am somewhat contractually obligated to be contrarian. Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to say no. And the reason I'm going to say no, even though the smart money says yes, I'm going to say no on account of, I wonder if the colors might be different. And yes, I am aware that, the rumors are the rumors, but I'm really hanging my hat on maybe the colors being a little different. And if it doesn't end up happening at all, I'm going to retroactively claim that I knew it was never going to happen and it had nothing to do with the colors. But sitting here today, I'm going to say the colors are giving me pause, and plus it's fun to be contrarian. So I'm going to say no on this one.
Yeah, okay. I was thinking the same thing.
Entry-level iPad with A18 and Apple Intelligence support. So we know that, there are iPads coming. We don't know exactly which ones. Is it going to be the entry-level iPad? I'm actually going to say no on this one. I think I was waffling on this to myself earlier between yes or no, but I'm going to go no for arbitrary reasons. Leander?
Yeah, I'm wondering the same thing. If I'm going to say yes, just because you said no.
That's probably the smarter choice, Lewis.
Can I say maybe since you said yes and you said no?
Not one of the options.
Geez, I don't know. It seems like an awful lot of stuff coming out if this all comes out next week. Yeah.
Well, the rumors were it was going to be like, iPads. So not necessarily just one iPad, but several iPad models.
Yeah. I'm going to say no. It's not coming next week.
Bold.
All right. So I am really bad at predicting anything Apple does, despite it arguably nominally being my actual job. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to say yes for this. And the reason is because I can see them painting the story of, look at how we're taking care of the every person. And there's all these more affordable options because everyone's pretty much committed to there being the affordable A18 powered MacBook, and which we'll get to, I presume, in a second. I don't have the rest of the list in front of me. But I think that paints a really nice story of, look at all the entry level stuff that we're bringing to the table, especially as everything in life is getting so much more expensive. So I'm going to go with yes.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be in matching colors with the MacBooks.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting point too.
Now, can I change my guess?
iPad Air with M4 and virtually no other changes. I'm actually going to put myself down as a no for this one as well, because I think there will be one other change and that it might have the N1 Wi-Fi and cellular chip. That's just a guess that hasn't been rumored, but that does add, maybe it will. So
I'm going to say yes.
Again, probably the smarter decision.
Yeah, I say yes too.
I'm also going to say yes, and I'm going to state for the record that if I am wrong, I'm going to lean so hard on the word virtually, and I'm going to convince you that virtually has done enough work to make me correct. So I'm just predicting it now.
Well, if it does have the N1 wireless chip in it, then I think that does count as like another change. But
no, that's virtually the same thing. Come on, it's the same thing. You can't even tell. You can't even tell. See, we're doing it right now. We're already preparing.
Well, I guess that'll be up to Ed to judge then. Okay,
fair enough.
Or more likely, I'll just be completely wrong. Mac and other products. MacBook comes with A18 chip and at least 3 undeniably bright, vibrant colors.
Why, Griffin? Why? Oh gosh,
I'm gonna put myself down for yes. I think they're gonna do it this time.
The only quibble I have there is the undeniably bright,
Yep.
vibrant colors.
Yep.
Because I think it was supposed to be light yellow and light green, which kind of, I don't know, is that vibrant? Undeniably vibrant?
I'm going to say if it's like, light colors in the way that the current iPad Air is like so pastel, you almost can't even tell that it isn't silver, that wouldn't count. But if it's like, cosmic orange level colors or entry-level iPad colors, like the current entry-level iPad, you would say those are undeniably bright and vibrant.
Yeah, true. And like the old iBooks, which I think was the last time they did. Was that the last time they did really bright, vibrant laptops?
Yes.
I mean, rose gold, I'm not trying to snark. Rose gold in certain flavors, I think, was at least approaching bright. I don't know if I'd necessarily go so far as to call it bright, but it was in the ballpark at least. But certainly nothing like, green or super duper blue or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be bright. I think they're going to be, like you say, Casey, that sort of approaching bright. So I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Oh my God,
Lewis,
I've forgotten what we're talking about. The MacBook. So listen, it's funny. I was just looking at the iPad Air colors, and those are definitely not undeniably bright.
Yeah.
But then the regular iPad is. So that's.
It's like, well, they've been making the regular iPad out of aluminum for years, so clearly they know how to color aluminum, but they just choose not to. And apparently they had to invent a new process just to do it on a MacBook. But like they've been doing it on the iPad for. It's perplexing to me.
So, if we were to talk about the colors of the current iPad? Will we call those undeniably bright?
I don't see why not.
All right, then. It's a yes.
Okay.
One thing, which is just an interesting aside, which is maybe germane here. I talked to years ago an Apple engineer who said that the anodizing process, it was super hard to get the lid and the keyboard to match. And there would be tiny differences between, the silver, the anodizing on the keyboard and the lid. And they had that was a huge problem, getting it to be consistent. So maybe that makes it a little harder, I don't know if brighter colors are more difficult to match. Maybe that's why, like with laptops where the two halves have to match. You don't have this problem with an iPad, of course, right?
Because it's all one piece and it
one.
doesn't have a keyboard. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's just apparently they did perfect it and they patented the heck out of it too. And it's a surprisingly complex process as well, I think, with all kinds of blasting with beads and all sorts of stuff. But yeah.
You know what's going to happen is it will come in 3 undeniably bright, vibrant colors, but it'll have an A19. And so we'll all get it wrong.
Right.
And actually, to that end, I think I'm going to say no to this. And I think it is very clear we are getting some sort of low cost, to the degree that Apple believes in low cost, MacBook. But I think that this is too specific a question between the undeniably bright and, to your point, the A18. I think it would become an argument to claim that a yes answer was correct when we see these muted colors, or maybe not undeniably bright colors, or perhaps it's an A19 or something like that. I think the spirit of this question is correct, that yes, this spiritually will happen, but literally I have to say no.
Oh, wait, maybe I should change it to A19 Pro. Because it might have the A19 Pro chip. I don't know. I'll just say right now, if it has an A18 Pro instead of an A18, I'll still count it as correct. An A18 generation chip. Okay.
Enough.
Next, MacBook Air and high-end MacBook Pros with M5 chips and virtually no other changes. I'm going to once again go all in. Maybe I'll hedge my bets. Because, these might come with the N1 Wi-Fi and Bluetooth chip as well.
You can't even see it, Griffin. How can you say that's a reasonable change? I mean, come on.
Okay, I'll put myself down as yes. Virtually no other changes. M5 generation chips, that's it. Leander?
Well, that's a good point about those networking chips.
Oh, don't bow to him on this one. Come on, stay strong with me. That doesn't count.
I don't know. I think there's a little bit of gray area there, Casey. I think that we could argue that.
There is.
Yeah, so I'm going to say no. Sorry, no.
No. Okay.
You're going to say no?
Yeah, no.
It is also, we've seen reports that like the high-end MacBook Pros are going out of stock in inventory in stores, but I don't think we've seen the same thing about the MacBook Air. So it could be that there's a new MacBook Pro, but not a new MacBook Air, and it's just, not out yet.
This whole thing is so weird, and it's not even an actual event, so who knows? I think that this is a yes, and I don't think that it's going to have a modem, because I think that would be way too big of a deal. The first Mac.
Oh, I'm not saying with a cellular modem. I'm saying the N1 Wi-Fi chip.
Oh, the Wi-Fi chip,
yeah.
Right? Yeah, virtually no other changes. Virtually.
Yeah, I think this is a yes. I think this is very much an Apple style to just rev it, which that's not a complaint, for the record. I mean, I remember during the dark days of the MacBook, we would kill for a speed bump and little else. And so I'm not complaining about the fact that it would just be, a spec bump and little else, but I think that's going to happen. And it will also be classic Apple to give us a new MacBook Pro in March, and then 6 months later or whatever, give us the actually properly new MacBook Pro with the touchscreen and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think yes.
Next up, Studio Display 2 with Thunderbolt 5 and 90 hertz refresh rate. This is another
90.
awfully specific one, but I'm going to say no, because I don't think the Studio Display 2 is coming out yet.
I thought the refresh rate was supposed to be higher than that.
Well,
120.
a rumor written into the Upgrade podcast said that from an anonymous source said that, it'll only be 90 and not 120.
Well, and I thought that somebody had discovered some hints in code that was the case as well. It was both of those things, if I remember right.
Possibly, yeah.
But what are the other? Aren't there some other panels out now already that are similar to this, and they're at 120?
I think that the assumption, which again, that's the important word here, the assumption was that even though you can get 120 hertz over a Thunderbolt 5 cable, because there's all the other connectivity on the back of a studio display, and that connectivity could also require a whole bunch of bandwidth. The assumption was that Apple would bring down from 120 to 90 in order to leave that headroom for, say, having like an external drive hanging off the back of the studio display, for example.
Okay. Well, because this is a game, I'm going to say, actually, no, I'm going to say no too, because of that.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay.
I don't. Refresh rate means so little to me. I don't.
Are you one of the people who's like refresh rate blind and you can't tell when it's ProMotion or not?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. All I've ever had is a ProMotion phone, so I mean, I don't know why they would need a ProMotion screen on a a desktop monitor though. Really.
It is.
I mean,
really
it makes
nice.
scrolling buttery smooth, but I mean, other than that, I don't disagree with you. For me, I think this will happen. I think we are all desperate for a new Apple monitor. I'll leave aside the Pro Display XDR and that lunacy, but we're desperate for a new like real Apple monitor. And Apple is 100% silly enough to just randomly decide to do, instead of 60, instead of 120, no, we're going to do 90 because we're Apple and we can. 100% I think this will happen. I'm going to say no, though, because I don't think it's going to happen next week. I think it'll happen maybe in June or maybe even at the end of the year.
I think it'll, it's a good thing to roll out simultaneous with the Mac Studio, and that's not rumored at this event. But I mean, it still could come. The next pick, any other products announced. This includes, Mac Studio, HomePod Mini 2, which some people think is going to happen. The new Apple TV, which is, pops up every once in a while. So I'm going to put down myself as yes, because I'm hoping the new Apple TV comes out, and I just want to will it into existence.
Amen to that, brother.
I was going to say the same thing. Apple TV, I think that probably is going to be revealed. So I'll say yes too.
Lewis?
No, I just wonder if even all these talking about it. I mean, are they really going to release this many products in 1 week without an event? I mean, I realize they're kind of.
I mean, it's the Apple TV. It's not really event worthy.
Yeah, but I mean, part of what they want to do is get a bunch of attention for a bunch of products, right? They don't want to. Here's everything but the kitchen sink. I mean, there's also a HomePod. Oh, there's also, I don't think so.
Good point, Lewis.
I think Lewis is probably the most correct of all of us about this. That being said, I'm going to say yes, because purely from a wish casting point of view, because I desperately want an Apple TV. We, as I mentioned earlier, we go to tailgates. We use actually a 3-generation-old Apple TV to drive the video at the tailgate. And that thing is getting very long in the tooth. And I really want to get a new one and then trickle down, from the living room to the bedroom to the tailgate and so on and so forth. So I desperately would love a new Apple TV. I'm putting on the record that I'm probably wrong in saying yes, but I'm wish casting. I desperately want it to happen.
If you get a new one, then you can have karaoke at your tailgate parties.
Yes, because that's what you want to see is us, especially after a little tailgating, singing songs.
In the miscellaneous section, all new products available starting Friday, March 6th. So sometimes when they have these like little not quite events, I mean, the typical thing for the iPhone is that, the event is on Monday or Tuesday, and then it's like the next week and a half it releases that following Friday. But sometimes for the lesser products, they're available the same day, as I think was the case with the M5 Vision Pro. It was like available starting the same day, and I didn't even realize that until like a few days later. Sometimes it's available like later that week. I really don't want it to be Friday, March 6th, because I have plans that weekend and I don't want to like blow them all off to write like 5 different reviews. But so I'm going to say no, just because, again, wish casting. It might be the following Friday. The new MacBook, maybe that'll have, they'll want more time for reviewers to have like write reviews under embargo. But I don't know.
I'm going to say no too. I don't think they're going to. I think something's going to be delayed, like a week or two. If there's going to be all the raft of products, I don't think they're going to have everything available on
Well,
that
keep in
first
mind this
Friday.
says all new products available starting Friday, March 6th.
Right.
Yeah. Lewis?
Yeah, I would go no, just because there's a chance that something's available that day. There's so many. If they have this many products, I doubt they're all just going to dump on one day.
I guess I should
so.
also say, from a grading perspective, I think they're rumored to come out with like the new watch band colors. I don't consider those a product. Watch bands, accessory, things like that.
Literally a new
Those are one of
product.
the main ones.
Yeah. Main products.
Unambiguously new.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to say yes to this for a couple of reasons. One, contrarian. Two, I do think it makes for a good story. Like I was saying earlier, here's all these new products and whatever it is you want, you can buy it on Friday, March 6th. And third of all, I would say that by the way this is written right now, I would say that if the products are available on the 4th and the 5th and the 6th, I win because they are all available. Oh, no, you said starting.
why I
Never
said
mind. Darn it.
starting.
I take it all back.
There's
I take it all back. All right. Well, I'm still going with yes. I'm still going with yes for the first two reasons, but I thought I found a loophole. I should have read a little more closely. All right. Never mind.
I think that's how it was
stick-
written
stick with my yes,
as
though.
of yesterday, but I caught that this morning.
Darn
and I
it.
changed
Okay.
it.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I'm still sticking with yes, mostly for contrarian and story purposes, but I thought I had you there. Good work.
This is another one that I edited. Shoehorned in promotion for Formula One on Apple TV. So I think that's starting sometime next week, if I'm not mistaken. Casey will know the
Yes,
answer to
the
this.
first race is a week from this coming Sunday.
Yeah.
I forget what day of the month that is, but not the Sunday coming, but the Sunday after.
So that will almost certainly get its own press release. And, obviously. But what I mean here is if they put out a video, if they put out marketing images, they'll just casually mention as well, oh, and Formula One is beginning soon
Well-
into something else.
This is the perfect thing to plug with the new Apple TV, right? So,
Yeah.
Oh, very good point. See, now you're getting my hopes up, Leander. Don't do that.
well,
I'm
didn't
getting
they make a big
all excited
update?
now.
They updated the maps. I saw someone raving about the maps
Yeah,
app
yeah.
with some Formula One stuff in it.
So I'm going to put myself down as yes. They will want to remind you that it is coming soon.
Yeah, I'll do yes too.
I would say no. Every time I think that they're going to promote something, they never do. The only thing that gives me pause is the whole thing about there's this, thing about the Vision Pro and Formula One and all that. Where they try and make a splash in that way, but I think no.
I'm going to say yes here. I think it will be very brief. So brief that Lewis will be able to make a legitimate argument that it shouldn't count. But I don't think they're going to do like a whole dog and pony show or anything like that. I think it'll be very quick. I think it'll be mildly cringy, but I don't think they're going to perseverate on it. I think it's just going to be like, oh, and guess what? Formula One's coming and you can watch it on your Apple TV and you can do it for free now if you're an Apple One person, and so on and so forth. And I think it'll be, 30 seconds or something like that. And then they'll move right on.
I mean, think about WWDC. Like they had a whole opening joke to the keynote about Formula One, like racing on the ceiling of Apple Park. And
Yep.
they didn't even really have anything to promote then. I guess they had they had the F1 movie. That was it.
Yeah, the movie. And
But this
that's
is a
it.
bigger splash, but also a smaller event. So
Yeah.
that's tricky.
So if it's just like like let's say they release a MacBook Pro and there's a screenshot that says Formula One on it, and it says you could watch this. Would that count for this? I mean, to me, that doesn't seem
I think it would be. It's a shoehorned in promotion.
like one sentence.
Yeah. Finally.
All right. Well, we'll see.
This has happened before. You never know how big or small Apple's going to go in terms of these announcements. John Turnus hosts 3 short accompanying product videos, sort of mini keynotes, as you will. I'm going to put myself down as yes.
I'm going to say no because I don't think that he's, the products are too different. I think they'll mix it up. They'll do what they do with the longer product introduction videos and mix it up and give some other people a chance to take the spotlight.
That is true. The last time this happened was for the M4 Max, and there were 3 very similar products. They were all Macs. The iMac, the MacBook Pro, the Mac Mini, and so it sort of made sense that they all did. But that is true. These are all 3 very different products.
It's my turn now. I'd say no.
Okay.
No, for a variety of reasons. Might not be all Turnus. Might not be short.
Yeah, I think there's too much specificity here. I'm really thinking that 3 is the wrong number. Why? I don't know, but I just feel like 3 is not right. I think it might be 2, it might be 4, it might be 12. Not really, but you know what I mean. I think 3 is what's going to get me the win on this, and I don't think it's going to be exactly 3. And when it is exactly 3, you can rub it in my face, Griffin. But I think no.
Okay, well. Our listeners, you can go to dgriffinjones.com/survey and fill in your own answers. Click the link in the show notes if you want to see our table of votes, which is on my website, and submit your predictions before Monday. I think Apple confirmed that it's going to start on Monday, so you have a few days.
Yeah, just this weekend. Mm-hmm. Yeah, all starting Monday. Yeah, it's going to be a busy week, really busy week next week. Super and exciting too, even as if just chip and ship. All right, excellent. I think that's we ought to wrap it up there. Thanks, Casey, so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. This has been a blast. I'm really appreciate it.
All right, cool. Yeah, super nice to have you. So you can find Casey on Mastodon, right?
Yeah, I'm Casey Liss at Mastodon. I'm all over it. Casey Liss at Mastodon.social. I don't even remember what my Blue Sky handle is, although I do lurk there at the very least. I think I'm Liss. I don't remember.
What's your favorite platform then? Mastodon?
Because I'm a dork, I spend the most time on Mastodon, and that's where all my dorks are. I love you guys. I'm one of you, but that's the way it is. But yeah, you can find all my links at my website, which is caseyliss.com, CASEYLISS.com.
All right, cool. And you can find Lewis on Twitter, Lewis Wallace. Griffin's on Mastodon too, at Griffin Jones, and I write the Cult of Mac newsletter every day, which you can get at newsletters.cultofmac.com. So thanks every much for listening. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you all next time. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Goodbye.
What a weekend it's going to be. Just waiting for the next week.
Did you get your truck fixed?
No, they still haven't got the hood open, apparently.
You're joking.
Oh, no. I'd love to hear this story another time because I know we got to roll, but I am already very intrigued.
Yeah, me too.
Talk about, have you got 6 hours? The saga of Lewis's truck could go on.
Just very briefly, what kind of truck is it?
Mazda B4000, 2001.
Oh, gracious. Okay, fair enough. So
do you know what that is, Casey?
It's seen some stuff. I'm assuming that's some sort of pickup. I'm not familiar with Mazdas of the early aughts.
It's the rebadged Ford Ranger, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Basically exactly that. Mm-hmm. But there are some small differences, aside from just the body. And apparently one of those differences is a sensor, an emissions sensor that has cost me hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And
of course.
I used to have a full head of hair before that thing.
So you're a BMW nut, right?
Well, how much time you got? So I had a BMW. I'd bought a lightly used BMW in 2012. It was a 2011 model year 335. And I loved that car for the 10 minutes it stayed working over the 6 years that I owned it. I adored it, and coincidentally, so I have a Volkswagen Golf R right now, and I've had it for 7 years, and I'm starting to get the itch to get something new. And by pure circumstance, a week ago yesterday, I went and test drove the BMW i4 M50. So this is the electric version of their coupe, or no, excuse me, it was a Grand Coupe. So it's their sedan, but it's based on a gasoline car, but then they ripped out the engine, put the electric, the battery and whatnot in it. And I really loved it, which made for a very uncomfortable conversation with my wife when I said, "Hey, what do you think about bringing another BMW into the family?" And she said in so many words, "What do you think about getting divorced?"
Are you mental? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do it because my car works just fine. There's no reason to replace it. I started thinking to myself, what are the vacations you could go on if you don't spend tens of thousands of dollars on a new car? And I quickly convinced myself it's probably not the right answer. But oh man, I would love to get one. What makes you ask? Out of curiosity, is it this or?
I can't remember that. I think wasn't that that was the genesis of the Accidental Tech podcast, wasn't it? That was originally going to be around.
It was neutral. Mm-hmm. Yep, we did a car show for a few episodes. Yep,
and I love BMWs. Like I say that I've never actually driven one. But of course that the reputation for the constantly being in the shop and being expensive to maintain. I have a Land Rover, which just
Yeah, you're in no position to talk.
how
I
very
was going to
British.
say, not just any Land Rover, like a 30-year-old Land Rover.
it is, and it keeps breaking down. But I keep pouring money.
You
into
don't
it,
say.
The more money I pour into it, the less likely I want to give it up. It's like becoming an awful
Yep.
trap now.
Yep.
And
No.
but I'd love to get an electric car. I really want to go electric. Really, really like to go electric. So I'm definitely super interested in getting an electric car. But also I'm in the same boat as you. Tens of thousands of dollars. I don't really have that lying around. And
Right.
when the Land Rover finally does die, the Scion IQ, that's my other car. That's my city car. When they finally go to the great junkyard in the sky, I think that's when I'm going to be looking at an electric one.
Yeah. No, so my wife has a XC90 with a big Volvo SUV, but it's a plug-in hybrid, and we generally speaking don't leave the Richmond area. So she only has like 30 miles of range on her car, but in the 2-ish years, we've had it for about 2 years. I think we've put like 5 tanks of gas in it because 90% of the time she's on electricity. And I personally think for me, I would like to go full battery because my car isn't the family car. If we take a trip, it isn't in my car. Hell, I don't think my car has been more than an hour away from this house, possibly maybe twice in the 7 years I've had it. So I am like the poster child for like the little baby, like Chevy Volt, which is actually nice, but because I like cars
those.
too much.
Yeah.
My parents have one, and they're actually astonishingly nice. But because I'm a jackass who likes going fast and being an idiot, that's not really my cup of tea. But that's what I should be driving if I was smart, is getting like a little baby, like a city car that's full electric.
Yeah.
But no, I think it is. I think it's time for people like yourself, people like me, to go full electric if we're upgrading and getting a new car anyway. But it's not cheap, especially if you're buying new. I was going to buy this used if I were to do it. But the good news is the depreciation of an electric car is hilarious. I was cross shopping Porsches, and the Porsche Taycan is like $120,000 new, and you can get them easily for like under 50 grand, which is astonishing and ridiculous. So it's I think it's time in general. I don't think I'm going to be buying a new car right now. And allegedly, actually, for the record, I'm told that the BMW electric cars are actually astonishingly reliable, but you're still rolling the dice if you get an ICE car, a gasoline car. And certainly for me, every time I went to Richmond BMW, I would walk in the door and they would basically hold their hands out, and I would put $1,000 in their hand, and then they said, "Come back tomorrow and we'll ask for the rest of the money." I mean, that's obviously not literally what happened, but pretty much every time I brought my 3 Series to BMW, which was every other month, it was $1,000. And after like a year of this, I was like, I'm done. I can't do it anymore.
Too bad.
And this is why my wife is right to say you're an idiot to try to go back to that well. But I tell you what, though, as soon as I sat in that car, as soon as I sat in that i4, I was like, ooh, this feels like home, So Lewis, I am very sad to hear about your Mazda pickup. My wife earlier in her life had a Mazda 6, a 2007 Mazda 6, and hand to God, that is probably the best car we've ever owned. We put no money into it. It ran for like 100,000 miles. It was incredible. And to a degree, I still miss that car. So I feel for you with your pickup. I'm very sad for you, and I'm very sorry.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what's going to happen.
Do you want to give a quick recap of what happened?
Is there a quick recap? I mean, a couple of years ago, I had to get a fuel pump replaced. And I'm pretty damn sure that what happened is when they changed that out, they used a Ford fuel pump instead of a Mazda fuel pump or some kind of... And I think that there's like a sensor built into that fuel pump that is part of the,
emission system,
yeah. And after that, it failed the smog test. It had never had a problem ever. And I went to like multiple places, get it smogged. And they're like, oh, well, you had the battery unhooked to get the thing done. So you need to ride it around for another couple 100 miles, which, took me weeks or even months.
Right.
So I drove around that time like for a year and a half with expired tabs on my registration. And to be honest, like, okay, San Francisco, they don't pay that much attention. They don't stop people from running through stop signs. So why are they going to care if my car's registered? But so this last time, and I swore then, like, I got to get rid of this thing before this happens again. I can't go through this like bureaucracy of the what's it called, bar, Bay Area Resort. I can't even remember what it's called.
Yeah.
And of course I didn't, because I don't have, just $20,000 lying around to buy a different car. I can't decide. And, the wife isn't interested in cars, but she doesn't drive, but she doesn't mind getting dropped off places. So, so anyway, I just kind of like didn't get around to getting it smogged. And the other day I I was going to go play darts down in south, like down around San Jose or something, Santa Clara. And my friend's like, oh, well, I could pick you up. I'm like, oh, I'll just meet you at the BART station. I'll just leave my car there and you can drive. And, that way kind of carpool. You don't have to go all this way. And so she drops me off at the BART station and my car's not there. I'm like, oh, God. And so I found out then, like, you're really not supposed to park at the BART station like that anyway. And they go around and they look, and since they saw that I had expired registration, they towed it. So, I ended up spending half a day that next day, had to go to the DMV, sit there for an hour and a half, 2 hours. I had to go to the cop shop, pay them $250 to sign a slip of paper. I had to go to finally, and oddly enough, the thing had been towed to within a half mile of my house, like completely not where it was. So that was convenient. And so I had to pay them $320 to get the car out. So now I got a $600 extra on this car that I didn't want to spend a penny on. And I took it to the smog shop where I took it the last time, where they sorted it all out and helped me get the exemption, because the part I left out before, the part in that fuel pump, they don't make it anymore, so you can't get it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you can't get it. So there is a mechanism for, like, if you spend a certain amount of money, a certain amount of time, you exhaust all your things, you can get an exemption for 2 years. And so I'm trying to get that again. But I took it to the shop on Tuesday morning, first thing, and they're like, oh yeah, we should have this, with an hour, we'll get back to you. So I call them, like, at the end of the day. I'm like, well, should I come pick it up or what? And like, oh, we haven't been able to get the hood open. And I said, what? What? That's exactly what I said. I said, I laughed. I said, are you kidding me? And I've had this happen before. I said, you just have to, like, get in there and just really, like, crank on that thing down there. And in fact, you just take vice grips and it's just a wire. You can just pull it. Right. And the guy's like, well, I think it was a female smog technician who was looking into it. So maybe I can get one of the mechanic guys to do it. And I'm like, okay, great. So I called it yesterday. End of the day, once again, I said, what's up? What's up with the car? Just checking. Should I come and get it? Like, oh, I think they still haven't been able to get the hood open. And I'm like, how? Okay, well, I mean, if they...
How do you run a smoke shop and you can't open a hood? They should get a tin can opener to it.
Oh, my God. I just don't get it, So who knows? I'm not sure how much it's going to... The car is it's only got 120,000 miles. It's 25 years old, runs fine, but things are, like, sometimes I can't roll the window down because the actuator's, like, shot or something's shot somewhere. The air conditioning doesn't work. It's just always something, and it's like, I just really would like to become an adult and have a car that works.
I mean, that's kind of my situation as well, since I guess we're sort of going around the horn here. I'm a car enthusiast, although I drive a Prius.
That's an oxymoron.
I know.
Right?
I don't like it. It's miserable. It disappoints me every time I push down the accelerator. But the thing that keeps me on it, and the worst part about it is that it won't break down. The one piece of maintenance that it needs at 180,000 miles, and then once I get that fixed, it's cursed to live for another 180,000 miles. But I keep it because I bought it in the fall of 2019 for $2,000. I know and it refuses to die.
You're cursed. What a curse, Griffin. What a curse.
I am super interested in one of those plug-in hybrids because I have the same situation. Like, I can't. I probably drive once a month farther than 30, 40 miles.
Yeah.
All my trips are within town.
And to be clear, there are plug-in hybrids that are not as big as a house, and they get a lot better range than the 30 miles that Aaron's car gets. So you should definitely consider it because it's really great, especially if it's an only car. It's the best of both worlds because as soon as it runs out of electricity, the engine is already running. At that point, it realizes what's about to happen. The engine's already running, and then you just carry on like it's a regular car. So I can't say enough good things. If you didn't want to go full battery, I really, really have enjoyed having the plug-in hybrid. It's really worked out well for her.
Yeah, I had one of the guys on the darts team. He had a one of the Prius plug-in hybrids. This was before. This was, I mean, I think the first version of that only got like 24 miles or something on electric. But he said he literally, like, every 6 months he would have to like intentionally drive somewhere to burn some gas to so that he could actually keep the gas new, because it's just so convenient to just keep it plugged in and you barely, most of your trips are not that long.
Around like, I think it was around like 150,000 miles, I needed to replace the brakes, and it should be a simple operation. You just pull the brake pads off, but for whatever reason, the person who was doing it for me, like, couldn't pull them off. And he realized these are probably the original brake pads that shipped with this car in 2010, because it uses regenerative braking to slow down automatically. And so
right.
It was the first.
That's incredible.
I never had to replace the brakes before.
That's fantastic.
You keep a spreadsheet of your fuel consumption?
Yes, because I'm that kind of dork. But here, the tank's miles per gallon for this particular tank in June of last year, effective miles a gallon of 470, because it was on battery for like the entire tank. For one tank. But again, this is unfair, because what's really happening is we drove, where's the mileage? We drove 1,300 miles on that tank of gas, but presumably 1,000, literally 1,000 of them were electricity. So this is kind of bullshit. But the effective miles per gallon was 470 miles per gallon on that tank of gas. I mean, the average miles per gallon for the entire life of the car since we got it in July of 2024 is 91 miles per gallon. And that's after having gone, these are trips basically.
Are you plugging it in also?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So every night, basically every time it's in the garage, it's getting plugged. So
have you got a spreadsheet of, the electrical costs?
So, okay, I got to go, guys. See you later. No, I don't. Hey, that's a fair, all snark aside, that's a fair question. But you get my point, is that if you're not driving far, if you're not doing more than 30, 40 miles in a day, then it really can be an astonishingly long amount of time. Like you were saying about your friend at darts, it can be an astonishing amount of time before you fill the car. And for her, we drive it far enough, often enough that it'll be, every couple of months or maybe every month. But it's certainly a lot better than she had the same car, but full gasoline before it had a catastrophic failure that wasn't the car's fault. Well, anyways, that car we would fill once every 3 to 4 weeks. And this car we maybe fill every month, and the old one was like every couple of weeks, maybe 3 on a good tank. So I recommend it. One
of the major car manufacturers, I think just they had their results last week, and I think the electrical cars, the full plug-in, the full electric cars, the sales were terrible, but the hybrids were off the charts. I forget which manufacturer it was.
I think you're thinking of Ford.
Maybe? That's not surprising.
Ford has decided to cut back on their all-electric models and go back to like plug-in hybrids. And that's
which actually, coming back to Lewis and your car search that you don't want to go on, a local friend has an F-150 Lightning, and that, I mean, I'm not a pickup person, so for me, it doesn't really do much for me, but I can tell you that it's a very nice truck, and you can get them very cheap. Well, cheap given, as compared to the MSRP, right? Like it's still a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. But given that these things were supposed to be like 60, 70, 80, 90 or whatever it was, you can get an F-150 Lightning astonishingly cheap. And his goes something like 250 miles on a battery or on a charge. So I'm not saying that a PHEV is the wrong choice for you. In fact, the way you describe it, it sounds like it's the right choice. But if you wanted to stick with a pickup in something that's Ford or Ford-ish, you should at least glance at an F-150 Lightning. They're very nice.
Yeah. I really don't need a truck anymore. I mean, I bought that thing because it was, we were doing work on our house and I had to move musical equipment all the time.
Well, most people who buy an F-150 don't need a truck either. That doesn't stop them.
Yeah, well.
I didn't say that, but you are 100%. You are 100% correct.
Yeah. I was kind of shocked, like, when I started looking at this. I mean, this is another reason why it's like, why I haven't made a decision. It's like, oh my God, there's so many different kinds of plug-in hybrids. I had no idea. Yeah. Like there's a Ford, and like, I was just looking yesterday on a website, Ford Escape plug-in hybrid, a 2024 model, brand new. So apparently they still haven't, and it's like half price, like $24,000 at a dealer, because they haven't got rid of the 2024 model.
Crazy.
It's like, God dang, really? I don't know how. I would like to get one that actually got good mileage on the gas part of it, and that's what I'm kind of. I mean, I've been looking at like the Prius and things like that, but I've still never gone and ridden in one. And the idea of having a
if you drive one, you won't want to buy it anymore. I'll tell you that.
If you want to drive a Marshmallow, you're fine. That's all you need.
Supposedly the new ones are kind of peppy, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's
the new ones look
compared
really
to
nice.
An old one.
The styling of the new ones is fantastic. They look great.
Actually, I would agree with that too. Yeah.
I better go because I got to get on with the f***ing newsletter.
Oh God, yeah. Okay.
It's funny very fitting how we made an accidental car podcast.
That's true. See, we did it. Success. All right. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. I really appreciate it. And hopefully I'll talk to all of you soon.
All right.
All right. Take care, guys.
Goodbye.
Take care,
Bye.
Casey. Bye.